Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red O'Loughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. I am the host on the Corner Bookstore, which is our first show today, first of three that I'll be doing back to back to back. When I'm not doing TV shows, I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. I specialize in longevity and age-related diseases. So that's the area that I love to do. I fell in love with chemistry way back in high school, and just I find it as my passion that I can go in there and find something and say, hey, if you're aware of this, talk to your doctor, do something. Anyway, that's what I do. When I'm not doing that, I love to write. I've written a number of books, not near as many, not even the same galaxy as our guest today, but I'm working toward that galaxy. So intergalactic rivalry maybe. But I write, I speak. I have a show of my own called Talking Heads here. They'll be coming up in a couple hours. And I just enjoy life. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Today, my guest is Tammy Grace. Tammy is a USA best-selling author, USA Today best-selling author. She's also an Amazon All-Stars author. She has over 50 books, a number of different series, children's books, women's fiction, just runs the entire deal. In fact, I think it's the first time I've ever had an Amazon All-Stars author on, and the first time I've had somebody with more than 30 books. So Tammy, please join me up here on stage. I am really looking forward to this today.
Hi, Red. Thanks so much for having me.
You're in the Pacific Northwest, is that right?
I'm actually in Nevada. I live in a rural town outside of Reno.
Okay, it's been a long time. I mean, I'm talking about early 70s since the last time I was in that part of the country.
Oh, it's changed, I'm sure.
Oh, I bet it was. My wife and a couple of 3 or 4 girlfriends, from my work and stuff, used to go up there maybe once a quarter, once or 3 or 4 times a year into the Reno area just for a girls' night out kind of thing. And so, and we had I think one of her best friends living in that area. But anyway, Carson City is where they went to. But anyway, that's enough about me and my stuff. So let's get into you. You've written a prodigious number of books, and I'll put you in a galaxy all by yourself because of that many. So when did you start writing and when did your first book get published?
So I retired from a job that I worked in state government, actually in Carson City. Funny that you mentioned that. And in late 2012. And I've always wanted to write books. Books have been a huge part of my life growing up. So as I was getting ready to retire, I had a lovely commute I had to do each day. And so I worked on plotting my first series, which is my Hometown Harbor series. And it's set in the Pacific Northwest in the San Juan Islands. And so I took a trip to Ireland when I retired because I always wanted to go to Ireland. And then I came back and started writing that first book. And it was published in 2014.
Okay, so since 2014, we're talking literally 11 years. You're writing 16 books a year, just boom, 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 boom.
I write a lot of books. Yeah, I really enjoy writing. So it's kind of like reading as an escape, has always been an escape for me. And writing delivers that same feeling.
What do you enjoy reading?
Exactly what I write. I love to read mysteries and women's fiction. I love the puzzle of a mystery. I've always been, drawn to them, even as a kid, reading Nancy Drew and all those sorts of books. And I just love Debbie Maycomer was a big influence, probably as I was becoming an adult, reading her books. So books that are feel-good books,
Did you ever think reading Nancy Drew that you would be writing books like that?
I never really thought I always wanted to, but I wasn't sure I would. I loved, when I read Little Women, that was a pivotal book for me because Joe, I just really connected with Joe. And I thought, oh, I want to be a writer someday, but I never really considered it for a career, when I was growing up. And then as I was getting ready to retire, I thought, I am going to do this. I'm going to try really hard to write and see if I can make this work. So that's what I did.
Well, obviously you've been writing before you wrote books, so you have some level of experience either from the government or pleasure or other things. So the first book that you wrote, you kind of figured it out driving back and forth to work. How long did it actually take you to write that book?
It took me, I would say about 3 months to actually write that first book. And then once I was done, I was kind of like dumbfounded on, okay, now what do I do? Because I hadn't got ahead of what to do. So I went to a writers conference in Portland, and it was kind of a small conference. That's what I was looking for, and met with a lot of authors and agents and learned more about the business side of writing, which is important if you have a desire to be an independent author. And after going to that, I did decide I really wanted to do the indie route and be in charge and kind of control things myself. So that was appealing to me, and I started out on that pathway.
How long did it take you to edit that first book?
I met an editor. I joined a critique group online. I live in a pretty rural area, so it's not like I have a ton of resources at my fingertips. But I joined a critique group online, and I got paired up with an editor, which was weird, but lucky. And so she had worked in the book industry. She was based in Canada, but she'd worked in the book industry for decades. And she helped edit that first book for me and taught me quite a bit of things, quite a lot about what I needed to improve and work on and all of that. And then I decided to publish it myself. So that's how I got started. And along the way, a few years ago, I was approached by Bookstore. They're part of Hachette and Grand Central. And I wrote 2 traditionally published books for them. They liked my work with dogs in my books. And so I wrote a couple of dog-centric books that were told from the dog's point of view for them. and that was A Dog's Hope and A Dog's Chance, and they were very fun to work with and a very fun experience. But I still enjoy the independence of indie publishing.
Did you get down on your hands and knees so you had a different perspective of life?
Well, maybe I had a different perspective of life. I talk to my dog all the time, and my mom and like my husband and all my family think I'm a little Looney Tunes, I'm sure, but I talk to my dogs all the time. So it was really no different. And in fact, I found the part writing from the dog to be the easiest. I think that sounds weird, but that's my experience.
I was mentioning to my daughter the other day, they had a little thing on, I want to say it's social media, but it had a German Shepherd going to it was a maze to get to a door that I guess had something, but the dog was trained to, and the German Shepherd went in between, and then they had the Belgian Malinois, and just went right over the top. I mean,
Right.
it was there in about a third of the time of the German Shepherd. And so, I mean, it's just the dogs are so different, and they have different, and the way they work is just amazing.
They are amazing. And my dad's in law enforcement, always has been, and they have several of the Belgian Malinois, and they are incredible dogs.
Yeah. You don't want to mess with them, that's for sure.
No, but very protective.
Okay, getting back to your first year of writing, you have the book, you kind of have the mindset, you have obviously you had the time to get it done, 3 months. And then you got it edited and you published it yourself. A lot of work, congratulations. And then you have a second book. How long did it take you to say, I need a second book?
Oh, not long. I had plotted out the second and third book of that series. And so I started writing those right away and wrote them probably a little faster than I did the first one because I'd learned along the way what to do. And so published those and then kind of pivoted to the mystery series because always in my mind, I wanted to write a mystery. I love that. And so I came up with this private detective character who is actually a lawyer that turned into a private detective. And he's a bit of a snarky, sarcastic guy that is so fun to write. And so I wrote one of those. And then readers really enjoyed the Hometown Harbor series. And so each time I think I'm done with that series, I'm not done with that series. So I keep coming back to write more of those. And it's a lot of interconnected friendships and people on this little island that readers just resonate. They resonate with readers and they love to read them. So I keep writing those. And then I have a whole notebook full of cases for my private investigator. So I don't think I'll ever run out of ideas for him.
Have you concluded any series that are done, Fine? Just no more writing in that one and your now future?
Yeah, I wrote a series about foster sisters that had the same foster mom, and it's set in Oregon. It's called Sisters of the Heart. And that one I rapidly released. I released like one book a month and there's 6 books in that series, and that is complete. So it was released complete, basically, just one after the other. So that one is done in my mind. But readers will send me notes all the time and say, I really wish you'd write more about that character in that area, and I'd like to know what's happening with them. So I kind of have learned never to say never, but I think, if I were to do something with it, it might just be like a spin-off series, something new but related.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you write a fair amount of books on the Pacific Northwest. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
How often do you visit there in order to get the background, the culture, everything you need for your book? How often are you in that area?
My husband grew up in that area, so we've visited too many times to count, really. But I haven't been to the San Juan Islands for several years now, but I was so impressed with him, I guess. And In fact, that first book that I mentioned in my Hometown Harbor series called Finding Home, that book actually came to me while I was on a little trip there while I was still working. And I was on the ferry and I thought this would make a fabulous setting for a book. And so that's kind of how, it's funny how just a little spark will come to you and then it just blooms into this bigger idea. And so that's how those came to me. But I haven't been to the San Juans for a while. We were in Washington just last year, so we go quite often to that area. And we were in Oregon. We love to go to the Oregon coast, so we try to go there every year.
Okay, so when you're trying to make the book authentic, and you're walking down the street, or you're in a bar, or you're a restaurant, you actually have been there and you've absorbed the ambiance of that particular area. And so when you're visiting and you find a new place or park or something, you make notes about this, you take pictures, videos. How do you keep that in your mind? Because you're writing a number of different books about different things.
Yeah, I tend to take notes. I'm a note taker. So I still, when I'm plotting a book, I'm still old school and use a notepad and a pen and write down ideas. So when we're visiting a place and I come up with an idea or something strikes me, it's easy to take a photo for sure now with a cell phone. But I usually just have a little notebook that I keep ideas in and then can, weave them in later. And with the San Juan Islands, I've had several readers who have written to me and have actually taken a trip to the San Juan Islands after reading my book because they just want to visit, they want to see that area. And one of them even told me she was shocked when she went there and she couldn't find the exact things, that I mentioned in my book. She was looking for the people and all the things I've mentioned. But it's a real place that I fictionalize the different, restaurants and cafes and little businesses that exist. So those are all fictionalized.
Well, I used to live in California down in the Bay Area in San Jose, and I flew with the military for a lot of reserves. And I'd go up to a place called Whidbey Island, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always have a problem there. I tell people I had a wonderful weekend, but I came down with fresh air poisoning. That about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I can't keep my eyes open. It was an amazing place, and Deception Pass and a lot of other things around there. I'm a hot, flat, and humid kind of guy. I like, biggest thing inside's a curve. I'm a happy camper. But over there, you got the mountains and the green, and you have this. Of course, the water temperature is 39 degrees, but that's not a problem. And one of the guys was talking one day because this is, why are we here in this classroom? Why are we out? And so after lunch, I went out there, and there's a lot of driftwood on the, particularly even there on the base. And I took the whole class out there and we sat on the driftwood and talked, for that afternoon. So yeah, it's an interesting place and a lot of things to do and see and just enjoy. I had a wonderful time there. So I can imagine how enraptured you are by being able to write about it and kind of feel the passion inside you about it.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous area. You never run out of scenery for sure to describe and to relate to readers. And I wrote a series called the Glass Beach Cottage series, and it's set in a fictional town called Driftwood Bay, but it's based on Port Townsend in that area. So it's all coastal. And when you talked about driftwood, a lot of driftwood on the beach that people can go down and sit on the driftwood. And I think there is something to water and to just the kind of the mesmerizing part of being there, smelling the salt air and listening to the tide come in and out. I think it's a soothing environment. And this particular series is about a woman who's grieving a huge loss and needs a change of pace. And so she travels across the country from Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, all the way out to the coast of Washington to make a new life. So I do think there is, my books are filled with a lot of hope, even though there's a lot of tragic and emotional circumstances in the women's fiction. But there's always a promise of hope. And I think there is a connection between that healing part of the woman's journey and her time spent by the water.
Glass Beach. My sister worked in Guantanamo Bay for a number of years. I go down and visit, and they have a glass beach there. But when you get on the beach, there's a lot of broken glass that has been smoothed over by the waves and sand. Is that
Right.
kind of what you had in mind with the glass beach?
Yeah, there's one in California near Mendocino area that's famed for that idea. Yeah, so it's a sea glass, that it's just been smoothed and softened by years and years of water and sand, and so I think it's appealing to women especially, but just the colors and the texture and how it comes to be. How long has it been there? What's it start with? A lot of art, you know, uh,
Big
goes
time.
into that, jewelry making, things like that.
Tammy, we're going to go to a break here in just literally a few seconds, about a minute, minute and a half or so. When we come back, I want to talk about how do you start marketing your books in the beginning and what you're doing now. So that's kind of the area I wanted to delve into when we come back. So,
Sure.
like I say, we'll just be gone for a very short period of time, commercial break, and be back.
Great.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover holy but harmful, the silent sin of judgment, how hidden judgments destroy relationships and damage lives, by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
Every woman carries a story of strength, of purpose, of light. Through her courage, the world is transformed. Through her grace, generations are inspired. This is Iconic Women. Within Every Woman Lives a Goddess, a celebration of brilliance, beauty, and empowerment. Join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. New York, 4 p.m. London time. Only here on USA, Global TVR, and radio. Featuring the iconic Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, honoring voices that shine across the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, to watch and engage with all our content. World-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration.
Howdy, all. Randall Laughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my guest today is Tammy Grace, author of a huge number of books. And we're going to come back to her right now. Please join me up here on stage. And we're going to talk a little bit about marketing. You wrote your first book. You published your first book. You wrote some more books. You got them edited. Everything's going well. When did you start marketing, and how did you start that? And how does that compare to what you're doing today?
Well, it's definitely evolved over that period of time. I think it was a little bit easier back then to publish on Amazon and have your book maybe draw some attention naturally without advertising as much. But anymore, I basically advertise my books with Facebook ads, Amazon ads. You've probably all seen those when they show a little sponsored tag at the top. I also think a lot of what I do is networking with other authors and sometimes sharing audiences through Facebook, exchanges or newsletter exchanges or things like that. And I'm also one of the founding authors of a large reader group on Facebook called My Book Friends. And we have about 20,000 members in there. So I think, it's kind of this pronged marketing thing that you have to do, which when you first start out writing, I don't think I was fully aware of the amount of marketing that you needed to know or needed to do, actually. And so it's a huge learning curve. I think it's more difficult than writing for me. And so it's a constant changing thing, constant evolution of what works for getting books in front of new readers, and things you have to learn and do. So it's a never ending thorn in my side, I will say.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. It's something that we as authors have very little skill at, is marketing. awareness of things out there. I mean, it's a different world.
Mhm.
If you're doing it yourself, that's one thing. If you're hiring somebody or a company to do it, that's a little different too. And there's pluses and minuses on both.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is what is your return on your investment? Whether it's an Amazon ad, a Facebook ad, your own time, what do you find to be probably, where's that area of that best return on your investment in your opinion?
Um, right now, what has been working for me are Facebook ads. I think that's the best return on my investment, and it takes me the least amount of time, and it allows me to reach readers I would never be able to reach, in person or in a Facebook group per se. So I think it casts a wider net for me to find new readers, new potential readers that might enjoy my work and try it. I also do a few free books that will lead people into my series so that they can get a taste of it at no risk at all to them. So I think that can work. I think it's just it's a mishmash of figuring out which things work, and some things work for a while and then they quit working, and you have to kind of pivot. So you can't be locked into only looking at one thing. You have to kind of watch what works, take care to see where, how much you're spending on ads and what the return is to make sure they're making sense for you. And I also think it helps when you have a few more books, to advertise. If you only have a couple books, it's really costly to advertise.
So how long do you stay with a particular ad before you say, no mas?
Well, you have to analyze the data. So there's no one thing that'll do it. But when you see your costs going up and the you're not getting the number of sales that you were getting, it's usually time to pivot and change something about that ad or start a new ad or do something different. And there's also several, I think they call them newsletter ads from various companies. So like BookBub is one that everyone's heard of, but there's some smaller ones like Bargain Booksy or Free Booksy and Fussy Library and places like that will sell you a spot in their newsletter to reach readers in your genre. And so that's another avenue to take if you're looking for advertising.
I notice you have your book covers there behind you. They seem fairly standardized. Have you changed them much over time since you originally published? Where did you get your cover designs from? And how does that factor into your next series? I mean, okay, I have 5 books and this is what these look like. What's the next one?
Yeah, book covers are interesting animals because they do, I think, change over time. Tastes change. So in the Hometown Harbor series, I found a book designer when I first started online, and she has since quit designing. And so she did my first few books, and then I had to pick up another designer. Then she quit. So then I finally found the one, and I've been with her for a long time. And she's done most of my book covers. And so I had her go back on Hometown Harbor and redo the first 5 covers in that series so that they were more cohesive. Every designer has a little bit different take, I think. So she's done that entire series. And then the same thing with the Cooper Harrington Detective series. The first ones were done by this original designer. And I had my permanent designer, I hope. She's wonderful. Elizabeth Mackey is her name. And she redid, I wanted my my detective series to kind of have a very cohesive look. And as you can see, she came up with a font and kind of a backdrop that we can change slightly, but they're very cohesive. And I like that look. But I do think times change, so you kind of have to be ready to roll. And I know some authors change their covers quite often. I don't think I'm one of those people, but you kind of have to look at the market and analyze what's selling in your genre. And if your covers are really dated, it's something to consider.
I go to the store and I buy a book and I look at it. I don't recognize the cover. And I look at the copyright date, 2002. Okay, I probably read that one, but that wasn't the cover that was on.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
understand it's a much more attractive cover. It really is eye-catching. But I've read that book before. But
Right.
it almost makes you say, I probably ought to buy it again. But
Yeah. Well, I'm sure an author would love that if you did it. But yeah, it's so many times I've done that same thing. I'm like reading it and I'm like, I have read this book before. And then you're like, oh, they've recovered it. Because I think a lot of people are very visual, when a reader is very visual, as far as that's their first point of attraction to the book sometimes is the cover. So
I'm going to say at least a dozen books I have bought that I have read. In fact, I'm actually reading one right now that I've read before, but it was such a long time ago, and there's so many things I can't remember the journey. And so I'm
Right.
enjoying it as much as I did the first time. So yeah,
Right.
there's a lot to be said for reading a book a second or a third time, because there's just a lot of
Oh
joy.
yeah, I've done that before, and I had this little book that I used to keep track of every book I read, and I would write down the author in the book and when I read it, and kind of a little rating system if I really enjoyed it. And that was before the days of they have apps now that help you, or Goodreads or whatever. That was my old school way of doing it, just because I found myself buying the same book over and over sometimes. So that was my way of dealing with it. But now we have technology.
Yeah. I remember decades ago, I would read a book and I would have a piece of paper and I would write down the words in the page that I had no idea in the world what the word meant. And so it's part of my learning. Okay, I'm going to read the book, but then I'm going to go back and I have, 15, 20, 30 words. I got to find out what these, and then go back and read the paragraph it's in. So I understand how that word was used. So I was part of my own personal learning curve.
Right.
So,
And now with a Kindle, you can do that. I mean, you can tap that word and it'll tell you.
AI, do you use that at all in any of your research or anything else that you're doing?
I haven't been big on it, but I have found it useful for research. It can go out and cull a lot of things much quicker than I can sit there and go through several sources. And I'm amazed at how quickly it'll return, what you ask it to research for you. And with the caveat that you need to check, because it's not always correct. So but if you're looking for pretty basic stuff and you're not doing some kind of scientific research, it might not be as critical. But especially if I'm looking for, like quick distances or flight information or weather information, things like that, I try to make my books as authentic as possible for the time and the place that they're set in. So I think that's helpful, as instead of me going to look at a bunch of different sources, I can ask it to go look for me. So I like that part of it.
I noticed you had a second chance book series with a pen name.
Yes.
Why did that happen?
So that was for the traditional publisher.
Ah.
And this is a unique story. So we were talking about these books that I was writing for them, and the editor was very excited about the idea of approaching film for them. She really wanted to go that route. And she said they think that it would be better with a pen name where the name could be construed as a woman or a man, because in her words, they were more excited to entertain a male author than a female. So we came up with the name Casey because it can be either one. So it's Casey Wilson that I wrote those books under.
You have any video? I know you have books that are available in French and German. I noticed that on your website. Do you have any videos that you do periodically for marketing?
I do. I did a few like book trailers that I made for various books and use those at times. Now with Facebook and Instagram let you put together these reels that you can make that are the short form videos. And so those are pretty easy to put together. It's not quite the production that a movie, a book trailer is. But I did those quite often when I first started, and kind of gives the reader a feel, kind of like a movie, trailer. You get a little taste of what that story is about for you. So I've done those, but lately I've been leaning more toward using the tools in Facebook and Instagram to create the quick short form video, which seems to be what they recommend for viewership. I think the attention span of the human species is dwindling.
Okay, your dog's real name versus the name you have for your dogs in your book, how do they differ?
So that's an interesting question. So when I started Finding Home, I had a golden retriever named Zoe. And so the woman in that book has a golden retriever named Zoe. And she was the feature. I told her she was the first dog in my first book. So she's very special. And we lost her. And what's very interesting is in book number 6 of that series, the main character's name is Izzy in that book, Isabella, but she goes by Izzy. And when we got a new golden retriever, I named her Izzy. So is that funny or what?
Tammy, we're getting down toward the end of the show. I know you have a lot of social media sites and things going on. Your My Book Friend book club. Tell people how do they buy your books? How do they get in touch with you? What's going on? But we're going to be, got about a minute or so to go.
Okay, great. Yeah, the best place to go to look to purchase my books is at Amazon.com. And you can just search my name, Tammy L. Grace, and it'll give you a catalog of all my books, or you can search for a book title. And you can also go to my website, and all my books are shown there. I've got one on sale there. You'll see Killer Music is on sale for this month, as well as another book. And, you can connect with me there. I have a private reader Facebook group called Book Buddies. So if you like my work and you want to interact with me, my dog, Izzy, also is a guest host there every week. So she hosts one day a week on Wednesdays. So you get all of her scoop in life there. And that's the best place to find me. I'm on My Book Friends. It's a large Facebook public group for readers. And I host there every other week. And that's another place you can interact with me.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of things covered. You've learned a remarkable amount of information and put it to use. So that I definitely congratulate you for, because it's hard to write a book. It's hard to market it and do everything else. And you got 50 or more books out there, kudos. I mean, yeah, I have to really congratulate you. That's a lot to be said, especially since your first one was published in 2014. That's remarkable. So,
well, thank you, Red. That's very kind.
And please come back and join us sometime later on. We have, as Dr. Jacalyn says, we have 62 channels this week on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And I'm sure that you would fit in perfectly in some other ones. So, Tammy, thank you so very, very much for your time today. I really and truly enjoyed chatting with you.
Well, it was a pleasure, Ed. Thanks for having me.
Take care now. Getting ready to conclude the Corner Bookstore today. We have authors on. Sometimes we have editors, publishers. If you're in the book writing business, you are helping people, book coach, if you're a publisher, we welcome anybody in that generic book business. So just because you're not an author, but you're an editor, you're a proofreader, please go ahead and go to the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and there's a place to sign up as a guest here on my show. More than happy to have you. So even if you have a book that's just getting ready to go and you want to do a book launch, contact me. More than happy to arrange something to try to help you there. So I have another show coming up here literally in about 23 minutes called The Wise Ones. And it more oriented toward the entrepreneurial world rather than the author world. But sometimes we have book authors there. It just sort of depends on the nature of the business. So, and then after that, I have a show, and today I'm going to talk about losing weight after 50 years of age. It's a very difficult thing. So on Talking Heads, weight loss is going to be my primary topic. So Red O'Loughlin signing off, and catch you here a little bit later on. Bye now.
Nestled in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Horseshoe Farm has always been more than a destination. It's a living, breathing reflection of community, connection, and transformation. Once a humble family farmstead, it has evolved over the years to become a sanctuary for travelers, seekers, families, and friends alike. Originally reimagined by the Turchin family as an Airbnb property, the farm began its journey into hospitality with simple roots, welcoming guests to experience the beauty and peace of the sacred land. As word spread and the vision deepened, the property organically blossomed into a boutique resort, rooted in the values of slow living, intentional experiences, and the magic of gathering. Today, the Horseshoe Farm is a 90-acre experiential retreat that merges hospitality, wellness, and culinary excellence. It is home to the Stable Spa, the Silo Cookhouse, distinctive lodging options, and a curated calendar of events that nourish mind, body, and spirit. Our guest experience is designed to be both grounding and expansive, where the comforts of luxury meet with the simplicity of nature. At its core, the Horseshoe Farm is about transformation of land, of self, and of community. We are proud of where we've come from. We are confident in who we are today and excited for the road ahead. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, also known as the Listening Mentor and President and Founder of USA Global TV and Radio. I had the opportunity, the pleasure of attending a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm just recently. I was so impressed with all of the opportunities that were presented to me in this glorious setting, as well as the highest level of customer service, that I've decided to put together a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina, United States of America, June 3rd through the 6th, 2026. You can expect to have a beautiful time of relaxation combined with learning, community, collaboration. Do consider joining me in this wonderful opportunity to reconnect with yourself, with others, and with nature. For more information, email me at drjacalyn@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.